This is AM Natchitoches on 1450 KNOC.
Welcome back to the program. This is Joe, in with Police Juror Mimi Stoker and Parish Clerk, of course, Louie Bernard. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. You were talking a little bit before the break about what's coming up on Saturday, and specifically there are two amendments that we're still kind of fuzzy on some of the details. Can you go over those?
Well, amendments are something that very few people pay a lot of attention to, but the First Amendment is really kind of it just says they're going to start a little earlier and finish a little sooner. I mean, that's the crux of it. A vote for that amendment would establish earlier starting dates for all regular legislative sessions from the final Monday in the month in which they begin to the second Monday. It would also make legislation effective on August 1st instead of August 15th. If you vote against that amendment, we would continue to require that regular legislative sessions begin on the last Monday in March in even-numbered years, or the last Monday in April in odd-numbered years, and that any legislation passed would require would wait until August the 15th until passage. Now, number two is the civil service status for the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. That has an acronym, GOSIP, but nobody knows what GOSIP is, so that's what it stands for. But a vote for that would make all of the positions in the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness a part of the unclassified civil service. If you vote against that amendment, you would leave a conflict between the statutes and the Constitution on the matter of whether employees in this area are members of the classified or unclassified civil service. So that's kind of in a nutshell what those two amendments are about, Joe.
Now, that second one, what is the difference between classified and unclassified?
Well, proponents of the amendment argue that the operating model would not work well within the confines of the civil service requirements. The opponents remind voters that the classified civil service system provides fundamental checks and balances to protect employees from powerful appointed or elected officials who may ignore the value of a stable public workforce and make decisions for personal and political gain. So I guess it boils down to your concept or your perception of classified civil service or unclassified civil service. And basically those two amendments are pretty simple and straightforward. It's the ones in November that are going to be a little more involved, and we'll have to come back and talk about those.
And since there's 10, we're going to have to divide that into a
few
segments.
We'll have to break those down a little at a time.
I think the first time I had to study 10 amendments was when we were doing the Bill of Rights, and I definitely fell asleep in that class. I know that you have to head out a little early this morning. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention?
No, I'd just like to remind everybody to take their picture ID to vote. The voters of the parish have gotten so good about just walking in with that picture ID and having it ready. It is a requirement. The commissioners do need to have it. I know that when you voted at a polling place for 40 years, you're saying, why do you need to see who I am? You know who I am. But it's not that. It's a matter of law that we have to require that, and we hope everybody will continue to cooperate with that. And I don't want to leave without thanking my commissioners who will be the soldiers on the wall that day out in all the precincts in the parish, and I think the best compliment that I can get after an election is that when someone comes out of voting, they can say, those ladies or those gentlemen in there were really nice and helpful, and I appreciate that. That's what we're there for, and I want to thank all those commissioners who are going to be working on Election Day. And then, of course, urge everybody to please go out and vote. We've got a car show Saturday. We've got Northwestern McNeese Saturday. All of that is unnecessary when it comes to stealing your time to vote. You can go vote from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock that night. So you can vote before those festivities, you can vote after those festivities, and we urge you to please know how important this election is for the police jury, for the school board members. Please exercise your right to vote and go vote.
Once again, if you would like to know where you need to go vote, you can call, I believe, Ms. Debbie Wasson. They can call or they can go online to the Secretary of State website. Just look up Louisiana Secretary of State. It'll take you right there. Mr. Bernard, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Joe.
Now, Ms. Stoker, going back to you, since we have a couple minutes left, briefly, now, again, we talked with Louie Bernard, the fact that coming up in November there are 10 more amendments. There's possible school board and lieutenant governor runoffs. But the police jury, as we kind of alluded to earlier, also has another tax, and that's the one that's really, that's the one that people are looking at kind of hesitantly. And again, that's not to be confused with what's coming up this Saturday.
Right. We will have a public safety tax, a new tax on the ballot November 2nd, and hopefully we'll be able to talk more about that. But my emphasis this morning is I'm very excited about what Louie said about we have almost 1,000 people who have voted early. I hope the turnout is good because voting is just such an important right that we have. I encourage everybody to go to the polls to vote Saturday. Of course, I would love for you to vote yes on both the renewals that the police jury has for the solid waste. And I have not mentioned that the solid waste renewal also includes a percentage in there to maintain the roads. We have had this particular garbage on there for 30 years, and we ask that people continue to fund this. And then, of course, the health unit renewal also. So please exercise your right to vote this Saturday. Go to the polls. As Louie stated, they're open from, 8 or 8:30 in the morning to, I think they're open actually this Saturday from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. So please exercise your right to vote. It's the right thing to do. If you don't go vote, then you have no right to criticize how things are going. And like I mentioned earlier, I am fully aware of the reputation and the image that many people have of the police juror. But I ask that, because I think it's changed, I honestly do. And I hope I have been a small part of that change. I'm certainly trying to do my part. I invite you to come to our next meeting. Some meetings, if there's a controversial issue, we have large crowds. Other times, we have very few people there. But on October the 18th, that's a Monday night at 5 o'clock, is our next jury meeting. We hope it's a jubilant meeting. We hope we will have something to celebrate. But if these taxes do not pass, then it's going to be rather sad because we're looking at the possibility, and I think the people of Natchitoches need to be aware of that. We're looking at the possibility of our parish being taken over by the legislative auditor, who will not care very much at all whether your road gets fixed, your garbage gets picked up, whether the coroner's office is funded, this, that, and the other. All they're looking at is the bottom line, facts and figures, numbers, money. If the money's not there, nothing gets done. So I encourage the people. And if you have questions, call me. I'm in the book. I would be glad to talk to anybody about these renewals.
Well, thank you very much. Mimi Stoker with the police jury joining us this morning. If you missed any part of our interviews this morning, you can check them out later today. Go to 1450knocradio.com, click on the archive section. That'll take you to a host of clips that we'll have up from this and other interviews. Check out our archives frequently. We'll have all sorts of stuff up there. And we'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning right here on 1450 KNOC.